see where we. Okay. At least this is working. Okay, everybody, welcome to our class, evening class on the Bhajan Rahasya. And so, to start the class, we're going to chant a song, obviously, not a mundane song. And this is the class on a book by Bhaktivinoda Thakur that tells us how to achieve pure devotional service. How about that? And the different steps that one should take to achieve pure devotional service. Okay? Habe Ulaga Shari Aria De Muni De Nayane Mami Kuranga Teami Ulaga Shari Aria De Muni De Nayane Arakabe Nitai Jande Ra Corona Hoe Be Samsara Bhashana Muraho Kabitu Chahoe Vishaya Shriya Kabe Shurabe Mana Kabe Ama Hoy mea kuti Kabe ama busha bose Yugala kiriti Rupa ragu Natapane Rahu mora asha Pradana kore sadala Narojamudas Rupa Ragu Natapale Rahumara Shah Pratana Kore Sajan Narojamudas Goranga Bulaka Chari Hari Ade Bulate Nayane Mavinir Norangava Lite Ame Bulaka Chari Hari Ade Bulate Nayane Mavinir Goranga Bulite Ame Bulaka Chari Hari Ade Bulate Nayane Mavinir Haribo! Jaya Jaya! Prabhupada! 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 Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravedikacharya, all Sivdetta Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Abhaya Charanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anandakoti Vaishnav Vrind Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Say Kahosh Krishna Chaitanya Barabo Nityananda Shidway Gadadha Shivasidi Gaur Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Govanath Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Manamai Ki Jai, Shrimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakta Vrind Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Vacharni Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deja Tarne. So, with that in mind, we're going to read the translation by this poem by Narottama Das Thakur. When will that opportune moment come to me upon chanting the name of Lord Gauranga? When will I cry while chanting Hare Krishna? When will I receive the causeless mercy of Lord Nityananda, so that my desires for material enjoyment become insignificant? When will my mind be purified of material anxieties and desires, so that I can understand Vrindavan? When shall I be very eager to study the books left by the 6 Goswamis, so that I can understand the conjugal love of Radha and Krishna? The lotus feet of the 6 Goswamis are my only shelter. In constant separation from them, I remain Narottama Das Thakur Ki Jai. So in this poem, Narottama Das Thakur is showing us the devotional quality of lolium. It means intense hankering for spiritual perfection, intense hankering for becoming devoid of all the anarthas, intense hankering for Krishna's lotus feet. And at the same time, in this poem, Narottama Das Thakur is showing us the humility that is required. As stated in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Dainu, that is humility, and prema are pretty much synonymous. Because unless you have prema, you can't be truly humble. And unless you're truly humble, you can't have prema. One leads to the other, and the other leads to the other. I think you understand that. So we have to cultivate humility. Trinadapi sunichena tarodiva shishnana manina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. More tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige. One should be ready to offer all respects to others. Very important. Okay. So now we're going to continue with our study of the Bhajan Rahasya by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So, Omagana Timiranda Shagananjana Shlakaya Chakshurun Meditam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with his torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. So let's get on with the Bhajan Rahasya. Share the screen. Here we go. We're on page 33 of something like 90 pages of this Bhajan Rahasya. Hold on a second, let me get everything lined up here. Interesting. Okay. Everything is lined up. That's right. Okay. So we're in the middle of this particular page about how to endeavor for pure devotional service. Of course, in the beginning, it mentioned the page. It mentions one has to endeavor to get rid of anarthas like lust, anger, greed, illusion, envy, and one gets chanting. If one chants with sincere endeavor, they will remove anarthas in a few days. So if you question why your anarthas are still there, you haven't chanted with sincere endeavor yet. And then you hear chant about anarthas and you surrender to the name. Foreigners, loss. Bhajan Rahasya. Evam ekantinam praya. Oops, the internet connection. Okay. Kirtanam smaranam prabho. Kurvatam parama prita. Kricham anyan narochate. The dedicated devotee engaged in kirtan and smarana of the Lord with great affection has no taste for any other actions. In other words, that's how we lose our taste. We engage in kirtan and smarana. Kirtan means, of course, chanting the names of the Lord. And smarana means remembering, but smarana is dependent upon shravanam and kirtanam, the first two processes of devotional service. That's shravanam, kirtanam. So, of the Lord, affection. Affection means love, the desire to please the Lord. Not affection, I simply, I like you, Krishna. I really love you, Krishna. No, I want to please you, Krishna. That's love. Love means the desire to please. If you're simply attracted to Krishna, that's not necessarily love. That may be good that you're attracted to Krishna. But love is actually, I just want to please you, Krishna. So love of Krishna or the spiritual master, I just want to please you. I want to see you happy, has no taste for any other actions. Vavenakena chit preshta srimurte angri sevane. Syad ichaisham swa, antarena swa, rasinayava tadviti. The desire will arise for worshiping the lotus feet of the beloved deity with a particular bhava, using one's mantra with one's individual ras. This is the rule. In other words, as you chant with great affection, then your particular worshipable deity, Ishtadeva, or Ishtadevata, will become apparent to you, and you're going to have more desire for worshiping. Now, what does worship mean? Pleasing, not just liking or being infatuated with, but pleasing. Pleasing. That's the spiritual world. It's pleasing. If you just want to go back to Godhead because you want to eat the desire tree's fruits, or just hang out with Krishna, you're not going back to Godhead. You're going to go back to Godhead if you simply want to please Krishna. If you're willing to stay within the material world to please Krishna, then you can go back to Godhead. But as long as you want to get back to Godhead and for your own self, then you're not going back to Godhead. But as soon as you want to please Krishna and willing and Narayana Paraksarvena Katashchan Vipati Swagama Varga Api Narakeshu Api Tulyartha Darshana, then you can go back to Godhead. So we all have an individual ras which is already there, but we have forgotten it. Hiteshveva Nityeshu pravartante swayam hi te sarvajage pyaheyaya sarvanartha vuvaschate kuryu pratishta vishtaya yatnam aparshanevaram. The devotees engage in all prescribed regular activities. The devotees must be careful not to touch the stool of desire for fame, which is the foundation of all anarthas. Wow! And difficult to avoid, though one may give up everything else. Now, that is pretty interesting. The desire for fame. So what is fame actually? Okay. Fame doesn't mean, you just want to be on TV or have your own podcast or whatever and be famous in the three worlds or something like that, or you want to play samadhi. I want my samadhi bigger than everybody else's samadhi. Bigger samadhi is you're no longer there. Leave it. But internet connection is some problem with it. Anyway. Okay. So anyway, so the desire for fame is just wanted to be the center of attention. And that center of attention desire may be to have not just in the public eye or in the devotee's eye or in your family eye. It may be just you want to be the center of attention of your wife or husband or your children or your guru. That's a desire for fame. Fame doesn't mean a lot of people. It can be just one person. You just want to be cherished. Now, we should want appreciation. Appreciation, of course, is the fuel which makes us enthusiastic in devotional service. If someone says, when you said this, I really got some realizations, that actually gives us enthusiasm. But if someone says, you are simply cynosure of all my eyes. Oh, all my eyes, only have two. So then, that's fame. As you say, the spiritual masters, Tribhuvana, he's famous all over the three worlds. That's the foundation of anarthas, is self-centeredness. Ishwaraham aham bogi, siroham bhagavan sukhi. So in other words, it's the foundation of all anarthas, and desire for fame occurs the more you advance in devotional service, or the tendency to have that desire occurs the more you advance in devotional service, because then you become the famous GBC, famous guru, famous kirtan leader, famous this, famous that, and everyone's your fans. And then you forget about everything else. So it's described that the byproducts of bhakti are actually one of the causes of anartha. And furthermore, when one gives up everything, it is most difficult to give up desire for fame. The wise person should make efforts to give up desire for fame. That doesn't mean, let's say if you're a guru, that doesn't mean you have to say no more Vyas Puja. Just giving it up, the Vyas Pujas externally, is not going to change the desire. Desire is changed when you try to make Krishna, or Srila Prabhupada, let's say, spiritual master, Prabhupada famous. And then you become happy when Prabhupada is famous. Then you can either be in the limelight or not be in the limelight. But it really doesn't matter. It doesn't discourage you, and it doesn't encourage you, whether you're famous or not. But it's a fact. The more you advance, the more people will appreciate, oh, such a nice devotee. Wow. Very good warning here. The wise person must make efforts to give up the desire for fame, the desire to be worshipped, profit, adoration, distinction, which is subtle sex life. That means very, very difficult to give up. It also means you should not take yourself so seriously. You should take Krishna seriously, but you should not take yourself so seriously and be trying to give an impression, to put on an act. All the world's a stage and everybody in the stage is an actor. Whoever you are is what you should show the world. Don't be like the Wizard of Oz in that movie. That was simply an electronics expert. Of course, in those days, electronics were not so advanced, but who simply was making a show. So we have many times we have devotees who are like Wizard of Oz's. That they're behind the curtain. They're just a little old man like me. So okay, let's continue. Prabhate chardarate cha majane divaskshaye kirtayanti harim yevai natesham manyasadanam. At dawn, midnight, noon, and evening, the devotees chant the name of the Lord. They have no other sadhana. In other words, hours more. This way, 24 hours a day, quickly obtains Krishna's mercy. Chanting the name, I said internet connection again. Chanting the name with faith and association of devotees, all anarthas will disappear and nishta will manifest. Contemplating the eternal pastimes in the early morning, one will develop a sadhana of bhav while meditating constantly. Check the internet thing. I had a little trouble before. One second. Oh, there we go. It's working. I wonder if I can change my internet connection without going offline. Let's just try it, because I have a stronger one here. All right, so if we go offline, I'm going to go right back. Give it a second. I think we're still online. Okay, good. This is a stronger connection. Somehow or other, someone had messed with my router. Maybe the person who was cleaning the house messed with the router. Okay, here we go. Still online. Let me just check. Yeah, we're still online. So, okay. Chanting the name with faith, the association of devotees, all anarthas will disappear, and nishta will manifest, steadiness will manifest. Contemplating the eternal pastimes in the early morning, one will develop a sadhana bhav while meditating constantly. So this, of course, is a very advanced level in which one contemplates Krishna's pastimes throughout the eightfold periods of the day. But at least we can contemplate some of Krishna's pastimes at the present time, ones that attract us. I mean, just right now we're reading about Krishna fighting with Lord Shiva in the story of the Usha and Aniruddha story. Really interesting story. And, we're thinking about that a lot. Whew. So, sometimes we may, depending on what we're reading in Bhagavatam class. So again, next verse. Radham snata vibhushitam rajapayahutam sakibe prakye tadgehe vitanapaka rachanam krishna vasheshanam krishnam budam avaptadenu saranam nirvyuda godohanam Shushnatam kritabhujanam saha Tarishtam chatatam shashre. I offer respects to Radha. After taking a bath, was decorated with ornaments, who was called by Yashoda, and cooked suitable food along with her friends in Yashoda's house, and who later ate the remnants of Krishna's food. I offer respect to Krishna, who every morning would wake up and go to the cow pens, milk the cows, as regular as usual, bathe and eat with his friends. This is from the Govinda Lilamrita 2:1. Remembering and chanting this pastime very soon, you will develop bhava. This is the morning pastime. It's not the early morning pastime, but it's the morning pastime. In the early morning pastime, the Ashtakaliya Leela, you have Radha and Krishna in the bower, in the kunj, who are woken up by their associates, and they hurry to get back home so they're not discovered by their parents as being absent throughout the night. So this is like the second time of the day. So when Radharani is cooking for Krishna, and Krishna is would wake up. Actually, he's already woken up, but he's made believe that he's waking up. And then he goes to the cow pens, milk the cows, bathes, and eats with his friends. In other words, the first thing Krishna does is when he sensibly wakes up, he goes to the cow pens, first thing, milks the cows, then he bathes and eats with his friends. So we remember this particular pastime. What a beautiful meditation to have when one is chanting japa in the morning. Oh my God. Whoop, went out with the wrist. Oh. Okay. So this is that's the second time of the day. So in other words, what's happening here? Okay, I guess I got to explain what's happening here. There's eightfold pastimes, and there's that means 8 times of the day in the Ashtakaliya Leela, and there's 8 levels of devotional advancement. And I guess tomorrow I can show everyone the chart of the different levels of devotional advancement. This is what's being portrayed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. In the first level, Krishna's waking up in the morning, and then the second one, which is what we just heard, second time of the day. So the first one, Ado Shraddha, and then Tata Sadhu Sangota Bhajana Kriya. And then after Anartha Nivritti, then you have Anartha Nivritti, and after that you have Nishta. We'll get into that. I have to use the chart to actually explain what's going on, and we'll do that tomorrow since I don't have the chart out right now. It's on my computer, but I don't have it out right now. So this is so in other words, each and every time, to reiterate, of the day in which Krishna is enacting his different pastimes corresponds with a particular level of devotional service. And each and every time of the day not only corresponds with a different level of devotional service, it corresponds with a particular verse in the Shikshashtaka. As we'll see here, this third portion of the day, the bhajan at forenoon, that means right before the forenoon, we're going into Trinadapi Sunichina, Tarari Vasishna, Amanina, Manadena Kirtaniya Sadari. As we know, there's 8 times of the day, and we also know that the Shikshashtaka is 8 prayers. So each prayer corresponds with a different time of the day and with a different level of spiritual advancement. Yeah, the chart will help us understand this, which we'll try to do tomorrow. So the Tritiya Yama Sadhana, that means the bhajan at forenoon, the third time of the day, is called Nishta Bhajan. Nishta Bhajan means bhajan with firm faith. Nishta also means steadiness in devotional service. So steadiness means 24/7, not just that you have good sadhana in the morning, and then the rest of the day all hell breaks loose. That's not the point. That You have good sadhana in the morning, and then the rest of the day you are Krishna conscious. You're not going to restaurants, unless it's a devotee restaurant. You're eating food cooked by devotees. You're being careful of your association. You're reading. You have a program during the day, and you're using the activities, whatever activity you're doing, you're giving the results of your activities to Krishna. If you're working a job, you're giving the results of your activities to Krishna. This is actually nishta, steadiness in devotional service. You can depend on someone who is nishta. You can set your watch by them. Okay. So, third time. 6 dandas of early morning to 2 praharas of the day. So, Trinadapi, you all know this verse, Trinadapi Sinichena Tarori Vasihishana Manina Manadena Kirtaniya Siddhari. One who is lower than even the grass, who is as tolerant as the tree, who has no desire for personal honor, but is ready to give honor to all others, can sing the glories of the Lord constantly. It's pretty much the same translation that we have. So in other words, you have to be able to respect grass, because grass are living entities. What does it mean? Lower than grass. Even respect the grass, because the grass are living entities who are in the mode of ignorance. And being tolerant and compassionate and not wanting any prestige, as mentioned previously, and ready to praise others and respect others and serve others. Amanina manadena. In this way, one can sing the glories of the Lord constantly. One can chant the holy names always. O Surup and Ramananda, please hear this verse describing the qualities by which one can manifest prema from chanting the name. Though of high status, one should think of oneself as lower than grass. One should show tolerance like a tree in 2 ways. Though cut, the tree does not complain, and though thirsty for water, it does not beg from anyone. It offers its treasures to anyone who asks. It tolerates heat and rain and gives protection to others. The best devotee is devoid of pride. He respects all jivas, understanding that Krishna is present within them. So that's basically a paraphrase which has Lord Chaitanya speaking. The 6 symptoms of surrender, according to Padma Purana, are, and this is Lord Chaitanya's, principles of Sharanagati. Sharanagati means basically surrender to the Lord. Anukulyasha sankalpa pratikulyasha varjanam rashiksha thiti vivasho goptritva varanam tata atmandikshepa karpanye sadvidha sharanagati. One should accept what is gunukulya, means favorable, conduct which is pleasing to the Lord and according to the scriptures. One should reject what is pratikulya, what is not pleasing to the Lord or authorized by scriptures. One should think of the Lord and no one else as one's protector, gotriptva. One should have faith, vishwasa, that in times when one's own existence is threatened, the Lord will give protection. Very important. One should employ one's gross and subtle bodies for Krishna's service. Nikshepanam. One should not make a show of one's miserable circumstances, but rather accept it as one's karma. Akarpanam. Surrender, sharana, gati, consists of performance of these 6 items in relation with the Lord. Now, sometimes that's translated as a little bit different. One should understand, one should accept everything favorable for the Lord's service. One should reject everything that's unfavorable for the Lord's service. One should have faith that the Lord is protecting one. One should have faith that the Lord is maintaining one. One should have no separate interest other than the interest of the Lord. That's called Nishepanam. And one should be meek and humble. And here, meek and humble is translated as one should not make a show of one's miserable circumstances, but rather accept it as one's karma. In other words, That's humility. You don't fight against it. You don't really are proud of your humility or proud of your austerities. Really important verse. Really, really important verse. One has to embrace these 6 symptoms of surrender. We should meditate on that. So the Mukunda Mala Stotra 37 says that one must first give up his identification with the material body. That's, of course, the first lesson in Bhagavad Gita. Idam shariram shatasandhi jaram patat yasvasham parinama peshalam kim oshadam britjasi muradurmate nirmayam krishna rasayanam piba. This body, divided by 100 joints, decorated with transformations, will necessarily perish. O foolish mind, do you ask for medicine? Drink the healthy elixir of Krishna's name. Because the Prabhupada would often say that instead of opening up hospitals, we should teach people how they can be free of birth, death, disease, and old age. Free of disease. And we have the only remedy to free people from disease. Of course, we do go to hospitals, and some devotees do have hospitals in which they preach Krishna consciousness, like the Bhaktivedanta Hospital, but it's a spiritual hospital that teaches spiritual things as well as helps people heal their bodies. They bring the deities around to everybody's room. They have a kirtan and the PA system in the hospital. So it's like a temple. A very wonderful place. So, drink the elixir of Krishna's name. That's the real medicine. Bhavosharat Shotramano Biramet. Kaudama Shloka Gunanavadat. Vanapoda. So, in other words, Nivritta Tarshar Ubagimanat. Bhavosharat Shotramano Biramet. Kaudama Shloka Gunanavadat. So, in other words, it is. That's the, what is that? Oh, that verse is actually the nutshell verse of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the remedial measure. Krishna's pastimes the remedial measure. Bina Pashut not. Then only a meat eater will not be attracted to Krishna's names. So that's like the nutshell verse 10.1.4, I believe, in the Srimad Bhagavatam of the 10th canto. Be tolerant like a tree and show compassion to all. Nadi prasidati tato pachito pacharar aradata surayanar ridi vada kamai yat sarva bhuta dayaya sad alab yayiko nana janesh val ita surid antaratma. You as the friend, the friend of the devotees, neutral soul within all beings, are not as pleased by being worshipped with many items by the devatas whose hearts are filled with material desires, as you are alert to various persons, alert to various people, are pleased with devotees because they show mercy to all beings. This mercy is not attainable by the non-devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.9.12. So in other words, that if we want to attract Krishna's attention and please Krishna, then we have to show mercy to all living beings. So how do you show mercy? It means according to who they are and what level they're at and what they're able to understand. It's not that the manifestation of showing mercy is the same with everybody. Certain people need like a little tough love. You can't just like be sentimental with everybody. Some people need tough love. All right, this is what you should do. And they say, no, I can't. And you say, no, you should do it. And don't take no for an answer. Just sometimes it's required to get people off the mental platform. We can't just like placate people who are on the mental platform. Of course, we're kind, but everything's done with compassion. We're not heavy or anything like that. But sometimes you just have to be really focused to help people do the right thing. It's good for them, just like sometimes taking medicine is not the most pleasant experience. Or if you get an injection, it's not pleasant. Very few people like getting stuck with needles. Very few people like taking bitter medicine, but you do it. You do it because it's good for you, and you sometimes have to give it to people if you're a spiritual doctor. Rather than being sentimental, I'm okay, you're okay. Yatomat tatopat. Honoring devotees is glorified in the Mukunda Mala Stotra. Shrinvansato Bhagavato Gunakirtanani Dehe Nayasha Pulakol Kama Roma Raji Not Pajate Nayana Yor Vimalhambu Mala Diktasha Jivata Maho Purusha Damasha. If on hearing the glorification of the Lord's qualities by the devotees, the hairs do not stand on end, and pure tears do not flow from the eyes, what is the use of the life of such a low person? So we should apply that to ourselves. In other words, if we're chanting or hearing, and we do not feel like some symptoms of ecstasy welling up, and of course you should keep them down and not display them for everybody, because that will be a manifestation of your false ego. But if you don't feel that, you should think, what is the use of my life? I've been performing devotional service for so many years, and I chant. It's like a desert for me. Knowledge of Krishna's glories is given in the Mukunda Mala Stotra 43. Krishna Rakshati no Jagatraya Guru Krishna hi Vishvambara Krishna Eva Samutatam Jagadidam Krishnai Layam Gachati Krishna Tishtati Vishwam Etad Akilam Krishnasya Dasavayam Krishna Na Kila Sadgatir Vitarita Krishnaya Tasmai Namaha. Krishna, Guru of the three worlds, sustainer of the universe, protects us. The universe arises from Krishna and merges into him at destruction. The whole universe remains within Krishna. We are servants of Krishna. The highest spiritual goal is awarded by Krishna. We offer respects to Krishna. In other words, Krishna is everything. Aham sarvasya prabhu matak sarvam pravoteti matva pashantivam buddhabam saman vata, and therefore Machata, Magata, Pranapodyantascha, Parasparam, Katyantascha Mam Nicham Tushanchi Cha, Ramante Cha. As Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita 8 and 9, that I'm the source of everything. And knowing this, everyone is engaged in hearing and chanting about me and enjoying and being satisfied. Having taken worth, perform bhakti to Krishna. Without that, the world is force. Eagerness for Krishna bhakti is explained in the Mukunda Mala Stotra. Krishna Tvadeya Padapankaja Pancharantam Uddhaiva Vishatu Me Manasa Rajahangsa. Famous verse. Prana Prayana Samaye Kapa Vatapitai Kantavarodana Vidao Smaranam Kutaste. Famous, famous verse. O Krishna, may the swan of my mind enter today into the net of your lotus feet. How can I remember you when my throat is blocked with kapha, vata, and pitta, mucus, air, and fire at the time of death? You know, this is actually a devotee praise like that. Mukundamala Stotra. Humility is described in 6 verses of Yamunacharya. Wow, this is wonderful. Nidharma nishtosme nachatma vedi na bhakti mam swach charanar vinde akinchano nyanya gati sharanya tvat padamulam sharanam prapadye. I am not fixed in Dharma. I do not know Atma. I have no devotion to your lotus feet. I am destitute without any other goal. O object of surrender, I surrender to your feet. Like Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, when they first met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they took blades of grass in their mouth. And like Sanatana Goswami said to Lord Chaitanya, he said, people call me as Pandit, but I'm that Pandit that doesn't know who I am or the purpose of life. So what kind of Pandit am I? So I'm not fixed in Dharma. I don't know anything about the soul. I have no devotion. This is the mood we should cultivate. Here's more verses. Na by Shubhadri Munacharya. Nadinditam karma tadasti loke sahasrashodyan na maya vidhari. Soham vipakka vasare mukunda krandami sampratyagatish tavagre. There's no condemned action in this world which I have not committed 1,000 times. O Mukunda, as my karma matures, helpless, I cry in front of you. So in other words, Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitamam Vishme Bhavam Buddham Kripayata Bhavadavakaja Stita Duli Sadrasam Vachintiya. If you see fit, punish the body of this worthless person. You are the punisher and my master. So these words of Sripad Yamunacharya we should inscribe in our hearts. Nirmajjito nanda bavarna vantash chiraya me kulam ivasi labda tvayapi labdam bhagavan nidanim anuttamam patram idam vayaya. And drowning in the unlimited ocean of material existence for a long time, I've come to the shore. O Lord, you have now obtained an incomparable object for your mercy. It's like the Goswamis would pray, you've come to save the most fallen, and the most fallen, therefore you should save me. I call out, but no one delivers me. Then you come with your feet as the shore. You become my seed of hope. You are full of mercy. If you accept me, you will find the best object of mercy in me. Wow. So you see the mood of the pure devotees. This is the mood of the pure devotees, how they actually feel. It's not that they're just putting on an act so that we can emulate them, but they actually feel like that. So we're going to continue tomorrow, and now we'll give the opportunity to some of you to ask questions, and hopefully some of you will ask questions. So we're going to stop sharing, and then we're going to allow you to unmute yourselves if you raise your hand. If you raise your hand, I'll allow you to unmute yourself. Or you can type in the text window a question, or okay. So Saki Sundari, you can unmute yourself if you want. You have a question?
Yes, Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Maharaj,
Hello.
one question. Actually, yesterday I was reading Nectar of Devotion. So there I was reading actually when we are circulating the temple of Vishnu. Like if we are circulating in the Chaturmasya, that's if we are doing the 4 times. So it's equal to circulating the world.
That's right. It's equivalent to go around the whole universe, in fact.
Yeah. So why Chaturmas is auspicious, Maharaj?
Well, Chaturmasha is auspicious because in India it's the rainy season. Of course, nowadays it's raining so much in India.
Yeah.
In Bombay, the whole city is underwater. So,
Yes.
so traditionally, the weather patterns used to be pretty regulated.
Uh-huh.
So the Chaturmasha was the rainy season, and during the rainy season, no one would travel. And so the sages, they had stayed in one place, and they had to do special austerities, and one of the austerities they did was circumambulating the temple. But basically, if you could circumambulate the temple any day, it's like going around the universe. That's also mentioned too.
Okay. Okay.
And so, like every day, I make it a point to circumambulate the temple. I go around 3 times, so I make it a point to go around the temple every day before Mangal Arti.
Okay. Okay, and one more question, Maharaj, is कि, actually one devotee shared with me कि always we are doing the three circumlating of the Krishna temple is equal to the Vishnu, and we are giving the four, so that equal to the is the Govardhan Hill circumlating. That's the correct. I don't know. Actually, one devotee shared with me कि don't do the 3 times, we have to 4 times, so that's equal to the Govardhan Hills.
I never heard 4 times is like going around Govardhan Hill. I have to see a Shastric reference. But every morning we circumambulate Tulsi Devi, and because I go around the temple, I circumambulate Govardhan Shila every day because we have a Govardhan Shila on the altar. So, I mean, it's anyway, whatever. I have to see the Shastric reference for it's going to like going around Govardhan Hill. Now, of course, if you're not able to go around Govardhan Hill because you're old, then you could go around to Govardhan Shila,
Mm-hmm.
and we found that Sanatan Goswami did this.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Any other questions? We have, okay, we have another question here from Sarva City, and you can
Hare
unmute yourself.
Krishna,
Haribol,
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. So wonderful to have these classes again, Gurudev.
thank you.
Gurudev, I was wondering if you could unpack a little bit of the statement where it said should not have a showcase of miserable circumstances. So I was contemplating in terms of, when we have, uh, um, some sort of misery, and, we reveal our miseries or sorrow to fellow devotees, like, we are feeling sad. So we discuss that. So is that considered as a showcase of
No,
miserable
no, no.
circumstances?
Showcases, we want to just draw attention to ourselves, to take advice from other devotees. Like, if you're feeling sad or depressed or something happens in your life and you need some empathy, I mean, that's fine. But if you're trying to draw attention, the whole point is, with false prestige and everything like that, is that we're trying to draw attention to ourselves other than to Krishna. So any intention that we have to draw attention to ourselves, that's making a show.
Right.
Just like we have this whole thing about singing the blues.
Yes.
Singing the blues, nobody knows. I mean, I remember this whole song when I was young. Nobody knows the troubles I've seen. Nobody knows the sorrows. Then we want attention to ourselves. But if we reveal personally to someone, if we're struggling in devotional service or we're going through some really challenges, let's say if someone lost their job and they're just like in anxiety, how they're going to maintain their family, certainly you could talk to some friends, get some friendly advice, get some empathy. That's fine. But to actually try to draw attention to oneself in the name of revealing the mind, that's the making the show. Okay?
Thanks, Gurudev. Haribol.
Haribal, so, okay. Anybody else have a question? Oh, here's another one in the chat window. All right, let's see. I actually got 2 of them. How to deal with fame if it's the cause of anarthas. We try to think of making Krishna famous and Guru famous or the Prabhupada famous, and then it's not a question of just getting rid of fame. It's just being more concerned with them becoming famous rather than ourselves. So it's a substitute someone else's fame. So that's one nice question from a devotee who was a direct message. Another devotee, a direct message. Will we get to the point where we don't want to eat food cooked by non-devotees, or do we have to force ourselves? Forcing sounds like so like, what would we say, so cruel. I don't think it's a question of forcing. In the beginning, we just want to achieve something. It's like if you go to school, if you want to graduate, then I guess you force yourself. But anyway, you focus on your goal in life. So to make advancement in devotional services, if you have to say you really have to focus on getting it. I mean, anything in this world that you want to obtain, especially anything valuable, you really have to focus on getting it, such as higher education, such as, I mean, just like I built a temple, I just focused on building it and I learned how to do it and everything like that. I didn't force myself. I wanted to do something. If you want something enough, it's not forcing anymore. You do it. And then after a while, with Krishna consciousness, you develop a taste. I mean, I know myself. I mean, eating food cooked by someone who's not Krishna conscious or whatever has no taste to me. It's no taste. And it really brings the consciousness down. I feel so light when I eat prasadam that's offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, yeah, we have to be goal-oriented, intelligence platform. And then it becomes easy. Like if you have some goal, like someone who is running in the Olympics, for example, they have the goal to win the gold medal. And so they have to exercise so many hours a day, or whatever, practice so many hours a day. I mean, you could say they're forcing themselves, but they have the goal, so it's not a miserable thing. It's just that I want this. I really want this. I'm convinced this is what I want in life, and then you achieve it much quicker. So you could take the slow path, or you could take the quick path. On that happy note, it is time to end. Thank you very much. All glories to it. We'll see you all tomorrow. I'm trying to have that chart out for you so you can see how this Bhajan Rahasya is actually formatted. Okay, all glories to His Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta.